Hi, Linda. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. It's great to see you.
You too.
Okay, so now that Easter is over, what would you say is your new focus? So, as we're diving in today, thinking about where we're at with everything, what would you say is kind of your next goal?
All right. So I was thinking about this and um, I was thinking two things. One is I'd like to continue to work on music theory, but I need some help with the sound of the scales because
Sure.
that's what I run into having trouble with the sight singing on is because I don't
Yeah.
know how the scales sound. And so I don't know the best way to do that. I mean, I
Sure.
have a keyboard, I could practice scales on the keyboard or whatever you think would
Hmm.
help me.
Okay.
Um, and then the second thing is just trying to learn when I sing a more modern song, to sing more in that style,
Sure.
like more of the speech like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, absolutely. Okay, so with the scales, um, is it, are you wanting to work on the ear training component of it, recognizing them, being able to sing them, or are you wanting to be able to play them more?
And no, recognize and be able to sing them.
Okay, great. Awesome. But then being able to play them on the piano might be a supplement then, or like a way
Right.
to
Yeah.
approach it.
I'm just saying, however, you'd probably know best how to do that. So
Yeah,
I'm the
absolutely.
keyboard. I'm
Great.
just telling you I could do that, but if there's another way, I'm open to that too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so then, yes, I think those are great goals. And as far as the contemporary styles, I think that definitely makes sense because in the past we have been focusing on other styles, like a more classical tone or musical theater. So we've been focusing on different
Yeah.
styles than that. So now going, I'd really like to learn more about that contemporary style and some of the vocal techniques and stylistic elements there. That definitely makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Very cool. All right, great. So, yeah, that just helps me to be on the same page as you and know kind of what you're thinking and what you would find most helpful at this point.
All right.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Okay, so then let's go ahead and dive in. Have you sung today?
No, I haven't sung all week. I just took a break.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I know you were working really hard gearing up for the Easter service. And so I think that
Yeah.
totally makes sense that you're like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just take a little vocal rest and a little break. Just
Yeah.
kind of, since you were working so hard towards that, to just take
hmm
a little bit of time to rest your voice.
hmm Yeah. And I have a lot to do to prepare for my mom's service next weekend too. So
Oh,
I probably won't do
yeah.
much in between now and 2 weeks from now, where I won't do anything this next week. The following week, I can pick up with some practice, probably.
Okay. Sure, absolutely. That makes sense. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. So, right. I think, you have a lot to do. Like, so there's busyness involved, but then also along with that, there's that emotional component. And so I
Absolutely.
remember reading at some point that when we're grieving or in the midst of something that's really emotionally intense, that 80% of our energy goes towards that intense emotional process. And then we only have 20% left for everything else. And so, you've got to do things like eat and drive and, grocery shop and things like that, and so it
Mhm.
might be a time to devote most of your energy to that grieving process and, working
Yeah.
towards that, memorial to her and celebrating her life and, and it's just a lot emotionally to carry. So I think that definitely makes sense too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Alrighty. So for today, then, let's go ahead and we're going to sing a little bit, get your voice going a little bit. Let's
Okay.
work a bit on those different scales. And
Okay.
then So, if you were going to pick a song that is a more contemporary style song that you would like to work on, do you have any ideas about that?
Not yet. That's something I'd
Okay.
have to work on week
Yeah,
after next
that's
too.
all right. No problem at all. Okay, great. So then, we could also maybe do like a little bit of the Francesca Battistelli song that we had been working on or something, and talk about like more of those contemporary styles. We could do something like that too, or just like little techniques that, you might incorporate into a variety of contemporary songs. So let's go ahead and we're gonna dive into just that singing component, get your voice going, and we will go from there. All right, I've got
Okay.
my sound settings good to go. You should be able to hear me in the piano. So
Hmm.
first off, since you are just kind of easing back into singing, let's start on a hum. And we're gonna start by starting a little bit lower, I think. So let's start with, we're gonna hum this note. Mm. And then we're just going to slide down the fifth, and you're just going to feel those vibrations and like the tingly feelings and what your vocal folds are doing. So just on a hum, breathing in. 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 Breathe. And breathe. And breathe. And breathe. And breathe. Breathing in. Just a few more. Breathe. Good. Let's just do a sigh down. Ah.
Ah.
Lovely. Very nice. Okay. So let's try now. Let's try sticking your tongue out and go. Yeah, exactly. Good. Let's try sliding and vibrating the vocal folds. Exactly. Yes, very good. So let's try. With that, let's go. So a third and then a fifth. Breathing in. right, let's try sliding down on a sigh again. Ah.
Ah.
Beautiful. Very nice. Okay. So we're going to try an exercise where we shape our mouth like a puffer fish or a blowfish. So I want you to puff out your cheeks for me. Do a, yeah, feel that. And then you're going to try sending a narrow stream of air through your lips as you do that. And now we're going to try vibrating the vocal folds as you send that air. Yeah, good. Nice. So we're going to try with the piano, we're going to do this exercise. So we're going to try just doing intervals. So we're going to try on. So we're doing the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Breathing in. All right, good. Let's slide back down. Nice. All right, good. So then let's try. All right, we're going to try the pattern of NBC. It's actually a major chord, but it's going to be in the second inversion. So the fifth of the chord is going to be the bottom note, and then we jump up to the third and then back to the root of that chord. So it's our second inversion. But that first leap is going to be an interval of a sixth. So that old school NBC pattern is what we're going to be singing. So we're going to try that. Let's do it on, let's do the lip bubbles. Try that. Focus right in the center of that top lip and visualize you're sending a streamlined, focused, like a coffee straw of air through that center of the top lip. Yeah, that's a little bit tricky. So let's come back to the one. Let's try the tongue twirl. Yeah, does that one feel a little bit easier?
Oh yeah, a lot easier.
Yeah, so while we're focusing on this ear training aspect, let's do the tongue trill. We'll come back to the lip bubbles. So let's do that sixth and then jumping down the third on the tongue trill. Breathing in, it's going to be. Good. All right, let's go ahead and sigh down. Oh.
Ah.
Great. Now let's focus just on that, the lip bubbles, and we're just gonna go. So just these little spurts of it, and it's sort of like starting and stopping, so you don't have to sustain as much. Breathing in. All right, let's go ahead and slide down. Yes. Ooh, nice. Going down to the vocal fry. Yeah. A good stretch there. Beautiful. Okay, so then let's try now on an interval of a seventh. So we're going to try going to that major seventh and then we'll resolve up to the G. So we call this the leading tone because the seventh always sounds like it wants to resolve to the root. It's like leaning towards that, and our ears are like, resolve, resolve. We want to hear that. So we're going to try that. So here's our root note, and then here's the seventh, and then there's the root above, the octave above. So that's the same pattern as in West Side Story, the Maria song, the Maria. I just met a girl named Maria, right?
Yeah.
So that's that sound. If you're like, that sounds familiar, that's what that is. So we're going to practice that leap of that major seventh. Let's do it on, let's do an oo to ah ah. So we'll go ooh ah. We're not quite that high yet though. So let's try ooh. Stay on the ooh for now, and I'll change the vowels as we get a little higher. Okay, just ooh for now to help with that focus and clarity of the tone. Breathing in. Ooh. 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 All right, so let's start changing the vowel from oo to o now. Breathing in. Ooh. 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 Good. Now let's do oo to ah. Ooh. 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 Great. Let's slide down. Ah.
Ah.
Good. Now we're going to play with these scales themselves. All right. So first off, let's do a 5-note scale that's a major 5-note scale, and then we're going to turn that into minor. The minors, it would work for any of the minors. The 6th and the 7th are what tell us if it's natural, harmonic, or melodic minor. But the up to the 5th is all the same. So if it was a major scale, we're going to do, let's try Scooby Dooby 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 Doo. This is all major. Breathing in. Scooby Dooby 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 Doo. All right, and then if we do minor, the only difference is that the 3rd is going to be a half step lower. So we're going to have that note be just a hair lower, and we're going to feel that it's a little more mysterious or intriguing. So just listen first. You hear that? 3rd is different there. Instead of major, it's minor, major, minor, so just kind of hearing those a little bit.
Major and minor is that?
Yep, major has a little more space between the root and the 3rd, and the minor is going to be a little bit closer together and have more dissonance.
Okay.
All right, so let's try. Let's do that scale on I like to sound mysterious. All right, breathing in. I like to sound mysterious. Yeah, so that's our minor scale up to the 5th. So if we did the full octave, it's going to sound different. With the piano, an easy way for you to find your natural minor scale is start on the A, and then it's all white keys. So if I start on C and play all the white keys, it's going to be major. But if I start on A and play all the white keys, it's going to be minor. So if I start on that A, the full octave scale is going to be That is natural minor. The major would sound like. So that's what we're most used to hearing, is
Uh-huh.
that major scale, that happier sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny though, because in different parts of the world, people might hear that and it wouldn't necessarily sound like a happy, upbeat sound to them, just because culturally they're used to different kinds of harmonies. So that natural minor, we're going to work on. So you're going to hear that if you were in major, the way you turn it into minor is you lower the third by a half step, and you lower the sixth and the seventh by a half step as well. All right, so we're going to try just humming along with it once and try to like feel where those notes go. Breathing in. Now we're going to work down. Once more. And now down. All right, and now we're going to try doing that on an ooh throughout. Breathing in. Ooh. Now down. Ooh. Now do, 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 do. Every note has its own do. Breathing in. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Let's try the major once so you can feel the difference. On do, do, do again, breathing in. Do, 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 do. Now down. Do, 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 do. Back to natural minor. Breathing in. Do, 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 do. Down. Do, 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 do. Nice. So that's our natural minor scale. Let's try the minor arpeggio as well. Let's do this one moving through. So we're just going to do the fifth arpeggio instead of the octave for right now. And we're going to carry it through different keys. Okay, so we're going to start with, let's do I love to sing. But we're going to do on the minor. So it's going to be I love to sing, or I love to sing on that minor. Breathing in. I love to sing. 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 I love to right. Yes. So that's the minor triad. Let's go ahead and sigh down. Oh.
Ah.
Excellent. Good. Let's also try doing a diminished triad today. So, diminished means from the major, you're lowering both the third and the fifth by a half step. So, diminished, I'm going to show you the major, the minor, and then the diminished so you can hear the difference. Major sounds like, minor sounds like, diminished sounds like, even scarier, it's like da-da, right? In a movie, like something scary is about to happen, right?
All right.
So it's
Right.
like mysterious and intriguing for minor, but it's like, uh-oh, when it's diminished.
Okay.
So we're gonna try singing the three different chords so you can feel the difference. So let's start here. So we're gonna go on, let's go back to the do-do-do for now. So we'll do major, will be do, 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 do. Sing that one. Do, 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 do. Then minor. Do, 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 do. Now diminished. Do, 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 do. Nice, good. So let's take just the diminished chord and we're going to try traveling with that. So we're going to go do, 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 do. Then we'll move up with it. Breathing in. Do, 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 do. Breathe. Do, 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 do. Breathe. Do, do. Oh, I did it wrong. Do, 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 do. Breathe. 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 Do, 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 do. All right, so that's our diminished chord. I'm going to take a couple notes for myself so I remember what we did today and what we're going to do next week. I have it in mind and I want to be sure that I keep track. Well, we won't meet next week, but the week after. So I'm just going to make a couple notes to myself.
Okay.
Mm, all right, great. So that way I'll remember what we did and what we didn't do. Perfect. Okay. So then you might have noticed I've had us sing a little bit lower, like center our voice a little bit lower today. Part of that is because when we're doing more of those contemporary styles, usually we're going to be using more of your chest voice than we would use the head voice as much. In classical music or in the types of musical theater we were doing, you're going to be using predominantly your head voice. So we need to make sure we really strengthen that lower part of your voice, that chest voice muscle. So I was kind of having us linger a little bit lower today. I didn't have us go past a certain point up because usually in contemporary music you don't. Sometimes you do, like Mariah Carey, we hear the whistle register, that kind of thing. So she does carry up higher, like Ariana Grande, but it's very common that we don't go quite that high. Kesha does in Prayin'. She does have a very broad range and goes up really high to whistle register there. So certain artists will, but not all will. And usually you won't. It's only like for particular songs that you'll hear it. So then I was thinking maybe we could just kind of like talk a little bit about some of those stylistic elements that we're going to hear in more contemporary styles that are going to be a little bit different. So when you think of contemporary styles of singing, what would you say is maybe one of the first genres or like types of music that come to mind?
Oh, I don't,
Things
other
like
than,
pop or
okay,
rock,
right.
R&B, right? We've got things
Okay.
like soul, indie music, right? So we have these different stylistic things that we do in those.
Uh-huh.
Um, so so let's talk a little bit about some of the things that'll change. So the vocal tone is going to have more variety, whereas in classical we keep a more consistent tone. You're going to have a more speech-like quality, which I know we've talked about before. It's going to be more natural conversational tone and less formal, rounded, and tall than the classical singing style. So if you think of how you talk, hi, how are you today? Then I sing that, hi, how are you today? Right? It's more of that conversational tone, right? Sometimes you'll also have breathiness, like an airy tone. Usually you'll hear that in like pop or indie, and it's used for more like intimate moments, like a soft, sweet moment, or like sharing a secret, that kind of a thing. Sometimes you'll hear a cry or like a whimper kind of sound. Usually you'll hear that in more like R&B or pop ballads, and it's a slight like sob like onset that adds emotional intensity. And these are things that we don't really ever do in that classical style of singing. You're going to have more vocal effects like adding growls sometimes, which is like a rough texture kind of sound that we use in rock and soul music usually. Sometimes you'll get like a raspiness, which is this kind of controlled grittiness to the tone for like an emotional rawness. Sometimes we'll use our vocal fry, which is that extreme low where we kind of like crackle. And you'll use that as like a stylistic color at the beginning or end of phrases. You might use your falsetto or that whistle register. Usually this is for pop or R&B, and it's those really clear like bell tones, those high notes like Mariah Carey does. Christine Daae does use them in Phantom of the Opera as well. Or you can think of like the Queen of the Night in opera uses those from the Magic Flute. We'll use a lot more like runs, like melismas. You'll hear that in gospel music and R&B a lot of riffs, like quick, agile, melodic movements. They're similar to what we do in like Baroque music with ornamentation. You also have a lot more like scoops and dips, which we don't really use. Like a bending of the notes, kind of like a guitar, electric guitar bending a string. You'll kind of slide in and out of notes rather than hitting them like clearly and clean and straight. You're also going to have a little bit more like rhythm and phrasing changes, like looser phrasing, stretching or kind of compressing the rhythm. Sometimes they do what's called back phrasing, which is coming in slightly behind the beat for a laid back feel. You'll hear this in jazz and soul. You can think of it as a suspension in classical music would be kind of what that is, where like if you think of how you'll like sustain on a note and then you'll switch late. It's kind of like that. It's similar. They also use a lot more syncopation, like emphasizing unexpected beats or off beats. And then you'll also have this sort of like intentional imperfection, like embracing cracks in the voice or like the breaks, or even like an unevenness to sound more like human and vulnerable and real.
Mm-hmm.
Um, You'll still use your dynamics, like your volume, your tone, the breath, um, pretty similarly to how you would in classical music. But you are going to notice the registers and mixing are pretty different. You're going to have a chest voice dominance, a strong speech like lower and middle range. You're going to be using mix a lot more than like the head voice, blending chest and head voice to navigate the high notes with more power behind them, like a beltier feel. Um, you will use head voice more for like emotional ballads and like softer moments. You'll even use the head voice muscle lower to get it to be like a softer, fluty kind of sound at certain times, or like when you want it breathy. You'll also have more like relaxed diction and use more like word painting. Um, so so those are just some of the things that are going to change. So I would love for us to kind of like take some of these techniques each week and be like, let's work on this technique, and we'll do it in exercises, but then try it in a song. So even if we take a simple song that's one that you just know, like You Are My Sunshine, and we say, let's sing it like it's a soul song. Now let's sing it like it's a pop song. Now let's sing it like it's a rock song. And we try some of the different vocal techniques on a shorter, kind of like simple song like that. I think could be kind of a cool thing. But if you
Sure.
want to maybe like explore, because I won't see you next week and you'll have a little bit of time after the service to just kind of like do some listening and pick some songs that you just enjoy and like, and then we'll try
Yeah.
to add some of those stylistic elements. Okay.
All right. Sounds
All right,
good.
awesome work today, Linda. I hope you have a
Thank
beautiful
you.
week. I'm going to brainstorm also like exercises and things we can maybe start with. Um, and I might send like some recommendations of songs we can maybe start with too,
Okay.
that are like a little bit simpler songs that are like poppy or like jazzy or R&B or something that we can maybe start with, and then go from there.
Great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
awesome. And if
Okay.
you want, we could also do more like songs that you could even do for church for mass sometime. We could incorporate some of the like contemporary Christian songs as well
Yeah.
that might work for services. We could learn some of those, but we could also do like some Celine Dion or like, Whitney or Mariah, like some people who are just some of the greats as well.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Great.
Great work. It was wonderful
Okay.
to see you. And I'm excited for this new chapter of learning and
Yeah.
helping you explore new styles. It's going to be great
All right.
fun.
Okay. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Mhm.
Well, I
Okay.
hope you have a blessed week,
Thank
and
you.
just know I'm thinking about you. And I know
Thank
it's
you.
a tough time. And, if you need anything, just let me know. Okay.
Will do. Thanks,
Yeah.
Amanda.
Even like, if you're like, hey, like, I don't have the energy to cook dinner today, like, I can DoorDash you something, or I can cook for you. I'm not great at it, but I could do it. All right. Well,
All
I'm
right.
thinking of you. I love you, and I'll
All
see you in a
right.
couple weeks.
Thank you.
Bye,
Okay.
Linda.
Bye.